What's up? Howdy. Oh my God. Seriously, how are you? Oh my gosh, like 5 of you. Okay. Well, I'll ask this side. How are you guys doing? Are you guys okay? You guys doing okay? All right, sick. Nobody's here. I'll ask the question that's maybe more relevant and you maybe care about a little bit more right now. How do you like my new look? Is it all right? Looks better. Are you sure? It is better than half of it. I did like the beard, but I had to get rid of the half beard. No, I legitimately was scaring people, so it isn't helpful for my work, you know? Doesn't help to scare people. So, gotta go. That's a scary place to be. I don't want to be there. Well, here's the thing, guys. I've missed being hanging out with you guys on Sunday nights. This will be 3 weeks now since we've actually hung out on a Sunday night. So welcome back to Sunday Night Garage. I'm happy you're here. Yes. Yeah, it's a good thing that we're back here. A lot has happened since then. I mean, we had Super Bowl and the Chiefs won, which is begrudgingly the truth, which is dumb, and I hate. That's fine. Moving on. Last weekend, we had winter camp, and that was awesome. It was great, and I totally forgot that the Chiefs won. So, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. See what I did there? Oh, that was good. We just sang that song, if you just didn't get that. All right, well, here's the thing. There's 5 weeks. Shh. There's 5 weeks between now and Easter, and so I'm just going to get a boo out of the way. On March 31st, there's no Sunday Night Garage because that's Easter. Okay, great. Get over it and hang out with your families, okay? But we are starting an Easter series now. It's called Before I Go. This is where we're going to be for the next few weeks. And this series is all about us. I don't know if you guys remember here on Wednesday night a couple weeks ago, we did like an Ash Wednesday Valentine's thing. And Ash Wednesday is the start of Lent, which is where basically there's a 40 to 42 day period before Jesus actually goes to the cross. And so we're in the middle of Lent right now, and we're kind of in the middle of Jesus' journey to the cross. And so this series is all about before I go, before Jesus goes to the cross to do what he did for all of us. And we're going to get into that in all the weeks, but really tonight we're kind of touching just a little bit of it, okay? Here's a question I have for you. How many of you have ever been like approached by someone that you care about, someone you value their opinion, and they like say something about you, and then it just like sticks in your brain for like a long time? Like for the next 30 minutes, all you can do is like try to fix that thing that they were talking about, or maybe even a week later after you did the same thing, you're like, oh my gosh, it's back, right? All of us, I think, at some point in our life has experienced something that's stuck in the back of our mind, something stuck in our head. Hey, crew over here, right side, lock in. So here's the thing, that happens to me. You can ask Megan. She'll tell me a lot of different things all at once. And I think I'm confident enough to remember them all. But then I forget them all. It absolutely happens with Megan and I. We could go on that tangent for about 3 or 4 weeks because it's so real. But in my real life, because some of you guys don't believe that I do real work and you think this is like a fake job, but it's real. I actually have meetings with people and I talk to people all the time. One of the things that I did like 8 months ago was decided to start doing our mission trips again, okay? I was really excited about it. I was like, dude, I've run camps. I've put on camps. I know how to run Garage-A-Ween. I know how to do blast. I know how to get kids excited for stuff. Like, I can do this. I can take them down the street and bring them back. So what's the difference of taking people to Mexico and back? Nothing's different, right? So I had this meeting with this guy named Pastor Guy. He's our missions pastor. And as soon as I walked in, he like word vomited like for an hour all this information about mission trips. And I was like, I got it. No problem. I can run a mission trip. Went back to my office and I was like, I forgot everything he said. So I got to go back to this guy's office and I'd be like, hey, can I ask you a question? How do I make a form for people to apply? And he's like, oh, this is how you do it. And I was like, sounds good, thanks. Wait. how do I make sure that they can pay? What are the questions I should ask them? So I had to do this literally for an entire day, going back and forth, because I can't remember jack diddly. That's the real reason that I was back and forth, because I couldn't remember this crap. I couldn't remember any of this. I care about it, but I can't figure it out. Why can't I remember what he told me? Here's the thing, though. As we're in this series, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be going through is Jesus's last kind of his circle here, his final lap. And in this final lap Jesus is making before he goes to the cross, in these places we see Jesus say some of the most profound things that he's ever said. All of his stuff is profound. All of his stuff is really important. But in this time, as he's making his journey to the cross, there are things that are really profound. And for that, I'm thankful for Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John being able to write that stuff down, document it, so that we can remember these important things that even as long as I've known the story of Jesus and him going to the cross and what it means, I forget it. I don't remember it. Or in my day-to-day life, I just don't care enough to really know more about it. And so that's where we're going in this series, is kind of working on this idea that these things he's saying is important. And some would say that in this time frame, this journey to the cross, where he's saying these very profound things, are the stuff that profoundly changed and shaped culture even today. That's why we need to listen today, because our forgetfulness can be a huge barrier to our relationships, to the people around us. Because let's be honest, all of us, like I've done with Megan a million times, like she's done to me a million times, like I've done with Pastor Guy, like I do with my small group leaders, like I do with you, sometimes I just go, I'm just going to listen to the first half, and the rest, get out. I don't really care to hear the rest. You do the same thing with your friends. You do the same thing with your parents. You do the same thing with your coaches, your teachers. You listen to the stuff that you care about, and then you move on. This idea that we only listen to what we want is selective hearing or selective memory. We only care to hear what we want to hear. If it's not that, doesn't matter. The same thing happens in our relationship with God, our relationship with our small group leader, our relationship with our closest friends. It matters always. I could go on a whole other sermon about why it matters, but we don't need to get into that right now. I think Jesus knew that we were forgetful people, and that's why he told a small crew, and this small crew paid attention. They might not have known exactly what it meant all the time, but they were there because they knew it mattered. So I'm going to get into this story, okay? So this is where we go to find the truth. This is where we go to really dig in and know what matters, why it matters, how it connects to me, how it connects to you. And since we're in the season of Lent and we're in the season that is Jesus going to the cross, the place that we're going to find ourselves in is Luke chapter 22. Don't go there yet, but basically what's happening is it's Passover. And this time, Passover was this huge, enormous tradition, celebration. Something, if you were a Jewish person, you definitely did not miss. You knew what it meant. You were there invested. You did not miss a thing. Because here's what happened. Passover was a big deal because, and we're going to start here. This is where they're at. Jesus and his disciples having a Passover meal right here. About many thousand years ago before that, the Israelites, the Jewish people, they were in slavery in Egypt. While they were in Egypt, they were treated poorly. They were treated terribly. They were the backs that basically the Egypt empire just was so powerful behind, because they had workers for free to do all the crappy work. They were just, oh my gosh, just terrible things. And finally, after enough crying and anguish, the Israelite people cried out to God, and God sent a messenger, and his name was Moses. And we know Moses, right? We probably heard of Moses. He was the guy that took them out of Egypt. But before he took them out of Egypt, Pharaoh, his half-brother, was like, you can't take my people. I know why I'm successful. It's because of you, and I'm not going to take my success away. You cannot take my success away. And so God sent a plague, 10 plagues, bugs, frogs, water into blood, darkness, locusts, livestock being killed. 10 different plagues. 10 different times Moses came to Pharaoh and said, hey, let my people go. If you've never seen Prince of Egypt, go watch it. It's awesome. But on the 10th one, this one's hardcore. The 10th plague was, let my people go, or I'm going to send in an angel of death to kill every firstborn in Egypt. Sound like a crazy thing, right? Sure enough, God gave an out to the Israelites, to the Jewish people. He says, hey, there's a way for you to go beyond this. If you want the angel of death to pass over your family, you're going to take a lamb, you're going to slaughter it, you're going to put the blood of it over your door. And when the angel of death comes into Egypt, he's going to kill anybody who does not have blood over their door. So all the Egyptians, they didn't know that. But all the Israelites and the Jewish people knew that this was the only way to survive. So when they did that and they covered their door and the angel of death comes through, kills all the Egyptian people, firstborn. All the Israelite people who had doors covered with blood were free. And then we hear about this miraculous thing that Moses gets everyone out of Egypt. Thousands and thousands of Israelites out of Egypt all at once so quickly. So that meal that we're talking about, Jesus and his disciples happening, are remembering that night. That night that the Israelites were given an out. They were given a way to still worship their God. So this brings us back to this dinner table, the Last Supper. We've heard of it. We're back here at this point with his disciples. And none of the disciples at this time knew that Jesus was going to be crucified. None of them knew anything was up. They thought it was a normal Passover meal. Remembering why they're here, what they're here for, how they can keep moving forward, and remembering how powerful their God is. But let me ask you a question, rhetorically. If you knew that you had one more meal with the most important person in the world, what would you say? Is it how much you love them? Is it sorry for all the mistakes you made? Is it what you wish you could do for him? How you wish life would be different with him? If you only had 5 minutes, 20 minutes to tell him everything, what would you say? The thing is, in this last meal, Jesus didn't say everything that he probably could have or wished, or I don't know. Jesus is his own mind. But what he did tell us is there's a way to move forward with him. So in Luke chapter 22, it says this. It's on the screen. Follow with me. It says, he took some bread and gave thanks to God for it. Then he broke it into pieces and gave it to the disciples, saying, this is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. After supper, he took another cup of wine and said, this cup is a new covenant between God and his people, an agreement confirmed with my blood, which is poured out as a sacrifice for you. So here, right now, this is something that the Israelites and the disciples had no idea what Jesus was talking about, I'm sure. Because for as long as they could remember, all they knew was this day was about remembering what God did with Moses and the Israelite people out of Egypt. But at this moment, they also knew that Jesus just changed every tradition about Passover. Everything that was important about Passover with Moses and all the Israelites out of slavery, out of Egypt, it's great. It's different now. Jesus just changed everything. The bread and the wine represent his body and his blood. Some people think that, like, when you took Passover meal, like they served it unleavened bread. So like super thin, not like puffy, crusty bread. And it was because what they were remembering was how fast they had to get out of Egypt. That's why the bread couldn't rise. So it's small bread. Fun fact. But what Jesus is saying here with the bread and the wine, this is my body and my blood. These things now represent my incredible love for you. For you and for me. Which has compelled him to live with you and with me and to die for you and to die for me. And so that every time that you take a Passover meal or you take communion, every time you eat this bread and drink this wine, you remember Jesus. You remember him. He says, do this in remembrance of me. Remember me. Remember my sacrifice for you. Remember my love for you. Passover is a great time, and this season is a great time to start remembering. Remembering who our God is and what he's done for us. The Jewish people in that time of day, they had bread and they had wine everywhere. That's what you had to eat or drink. Like, you give them wine, you give them bread when they come to your house. Why did Jesus pick two things like that? Because Jesus is a guy that works in the most uncommonly common ways ever. Things that we use all the time. Normal food. Ordinary parts just became significant to us. Anytime a disciple walked into a house and was offered bread and wine, now they start remembering who Jesus is, what he's done for them, and how he will work in their life. Jesus knows that we tend to forget. And so before he left, he taught us to remember. I know that sounds really dumb, but he taught us how to look back. He taught us to remember who he is, what he's done for us, and how he will continue to live with us. So for those of you that may have been following Jesus for some time, you've probably got in your back pocket or in the back of your brain a few of these big moments in your life where you kind of really understood what was going on in your relationship with Christ. Maybe it was at High Altitude. Maybe it was at local. Maybe it was at summer camp. Maybe it was at a worship night. Maybe it was with a small group leader. Maybe it was with your mom and dad 10 years ago. You have these mountaintop experiences. It's easy to trust him there, right? When you get it. When it seems like he's like right there and you can just feel him. Those are the easy times, right? But I'm guessing that 99% of the time that's not the case. You can think of a whole lot more of scenarios in your life where you can't remember what it feels like to experience Christ, what it feels like to have the Holy Spirit around you. And for that, I would say Jesus has not changed, Christ has not changed, our God has not changed. He was the same to the Israelites in Egypt. He was the same to the disciples in having a Passover meal, and he's the same to us right now. God doesn't change. What we have to do is we have to learn to remember. Remember what our God did for us in that first experience. Maybe it was when you gave your life to Christ. Remember that and where he's taken you. And now you're here and you're trying to figure out, what does it look like with my life now? You get to go, I remember what that looked like. So I know what I'm doing here. He will show up again so that I know when I'm over in the future, I can do all things because he's with me there. I can count on him time and time again for the rest of my life. We have to remember who God is, what he's done for us here, and what he's going to continue to do for us in our lives. Couple things. I like how simple these things are because it makes sense to me, so hopefully it makes sense to you. And band, you guys can come back up. Couple things to know where we've come from, how we know we're in the right place, and hopefully where we're going is a great place. My first encouragement is to remembering with other people is powerful. What the disciples were celebrating and doing at this supper was they were remembering what the Israelites in Egypt were doing together. And in that moment, they were doing it together. And now we get to look back and we get to go over all three of these different places and we get to go, they did not do it alone. They were with people who wanted those things, who wanted to experience the power of our God, who wanted to be in that place with Christ personally. So do it with people. Remember what it looks like and what it felt like to experience Christ with people. That's why small groups are important. I believe if we take our small groups seriously, I believe there's something that will drastically changed in our Parker area. Number 2, remembering takes work. This is not an easy thing. It's not like you can just forget what it was like and never experience it again. It's not like it's lost forever, but it will take work to go back into that moment and say, I want to know what your presence feels like. I want to know what you've done for me in my life so I know where I'm going now. Remembering helps us see how good our God was in the past so that we can experience him in the present and we can have faith to follow him in the future. So I'm asking us to remember as we go, and before Christ went to the cross, we remember what he was doing for us. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for bringing us back for Sunday nights, God. God, I just ask that as we're approaching Easter, and this series is about you in the Easter season. It's always about you, but it's about you doing something so drastically amazing, something we can't comprehend. will you help us to remember who you are to us, what you've done for us in the past, where you're at in our life now, so that we know where we're going with you in the future, God. Help us to remember who you are. We love you. It's in your name we pray. Everybody says.
Stay close to me, my of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born, and the vapor of your breath, the blendless form. If the stars were made to worship so bright, I can see your heart in everything you've made. Every burning star signifies love. If creation sings your praises so God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty your voice. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you say. If it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. Creation still obeys you so alive. So alive. So if the stars were made to worship so alive, if the mountains bow and reverence so alive, if the oceans roar your greatness so alive, for if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. If the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sound of all our praises simple shine, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. Oh, God of salvation, you chased down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you feet. 100 billion failures disappear. Oh, where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you so alive, I can see your heart in everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. If you gladly chose surrender, so alive, I can see your heart a billion different ways. Precious one, a child you died to save. You gave your life to love that's so alive, like you would again 100 billion times. But one that you couldn't amount to your tears. You're the one who never leaves the one behind, like you would again 100 billion times. You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
Can I get a round of applause for the band, guys? Well, if you guys got a couple minutes, we'd like to jump into our powwow group. So if you don't know where you're going, find me, find Jack, pretty much find any leader. And you know, we say every week, you're loved and prayed for and you're accepted here just as you are. Have a great week, guys.